Hi everyone. Tonight we're traveling far away, beyond the empires you usually see in history books, to the heart of the ancient Kingdom of Benin, where bronze plaques gleam in the sun, coral necklaces whisper stories of dynasties, and marriage. Well, marriage is practically an extreme sport. You walk down red dirt streets lined with palm trees, filled with voices, laughter, and chickens, some dressed in ceremonial cloths. It feels like everyone here is either about to get married, divorced, or participate in a wedding ritual involving a goat with necklaces. You're not sure yet if you're invited or kidnapped, but that's okay. You came to relax. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And comment below where you're watching from and what time it is. I love seeing the time zones of all the insomniacs out there. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You arrive in the city of Benin around the 15th century, at the height of its splendor. Right away, you notice the rhythm here is different. Drums play in the distance, the smell of palm oil lingers in the air, and a child with ritual face paint offers you a wedding amulet in exchange for a banana. You politely decline. You're not ready for that kind of commitment yet. The Kingdom of Benin is ruled by an Oba, a figure who is both king and spiritual leader. He not only decides state affairs but also approves or vetoes marriages. Literally. A wrong wink at the market can be interpreted as a marriage proposal. Yes, flirting here is serious business. Wedding ceremonies are long, full of details, and regulated as if they were diplomatic agreements. There are dowries, dances, witnesses, offerings, and sometimes goats wearing more jewelry than you. You watch an elder holding a carved wooden board. Each carving marks a stage of the ceremony. Later, you find out he also uses it as a percussion instrument, multi-purpose. In the middle of the market, two matchmakers argue. One says the young man is an excellent catch because he has 2 yam barns and only 1 lawsuit pending. The other counters, he sneezed during a rain ritual, and that brings bad luck to the okra. The debate is fierce. You pass by a wall of bronze plaques, the kind historians love. Some depict marriages between noble families, with grooms offering cola nuts and brides adorned with coral necklaces. On one, there's a dog wearing a bead collar next to the bride. Your guide explains, sign of loyalty, or part of the dowry. Historians still debate. Everything here seems to have multiple meanings. A necklace can represent love, social status, or participation in a ceremonial tug-of-war tournament to win the right to propose. Even a drum beat can indicate passion or the disapproval of the bride's grandmother. You have to pay attention. You hear about 3 different types of marriage: the common, the status leveling, and the agricultural conditional. The last one is only allowed if the families cultivate compatible tubers. Yes, in Benin, cassava and yam have personality conflicts. Someone hands you a scroll made of palm leaf. It's a marriage oracle. You open it. The message says, your marriage will last if you enjoy long walks and can tolerate noisy relatives. Reassuring. Soon after, a wedding procession begins. Women chant in response, accompanied by drums, calabashes, and the rattles of beads hanging from skirts. The bride is so decorated with coral that she needs 2 assistants to keep her balance. You ask what the groom is wearing. The guide answers without blinking. Stress. You haven't even started getting romantically involved and you're already included in 5 rumors, 2 developing scandals, and a possible accidental marriage proposal when you waved at someone at the market. But it's okay. Just smile and wave back. When the sun sets, torches are lit along the palace corridors, revealing wall carvings of couples sharing a bowl of spicy soup, a universal symbol of partnership. The guide points and says, this is how everything starts here. A meal, a promise, and 1,000 negotiations. And that's how our story begins too. You wake up to the rhythmic sound of sticks hitting the ground, a mix of music and community alert. Apparently, today is the day of the matrimonial trial in the council courtyard. You stretch, face a slightly sour corn porridge, and join the small crowd gathered under an ancient fig tree. In the center of the courtyard, The elders sit aligned in a semicircle like a jury of very well-informed grandparents. A young couple stands before them, visibly nervous. The reason for the hearing? The groom's family claims that the bride promised 3 goats but only delivered 2. The bride retorts, one of the goats was emotionally more mature, so it counted as 2. Disputes like this are not uncommon around here. Marriage in the Kingdom of Benin is, among other things, an economic, political, and spiritual contract. Breaking it, even over a goat disagreement, requires careful arbitration. One elder strokes his chin, murmurs something about the rains of that year, and consults a set of shells thrown on the ground. You're still trying to figure out if that's jurisprudence or horoscope. Meanwhile, another part of the courtyard is occupied by first-time mothers participating in a marriage counseling circle. The advice ranges from, always hide some of the yam, to, if he forgets your guardian spirit's birthday, stay silent for 3 moons. The older women laugh, the younger ones take mental notes. You decide not to comment. You overhear an interesting fact. In the Kingdom of Benin, marriage contracts are often sealed not only between individuals, but between entire lineages. One mistake can echo through generations, like that distant cousin who's still blamed for a badly resolved engagement from the last century. Oh, and there's more. Certain artisan castes can only marry among themselves. If a sculptor falls in love with a weaver from the wrong caste, prepare for complex negotiations, double offerings, and at least one ritual dance asking permission from the ancestors. Historians still debate whether this strengthened or complicated the social structure, maybe both. You hear the trial continue. One testimony involves a tree branch used to measure fidelity, don't ask how. Another speaks of a premonitory dream with a disobedient turtle. In the end, the elders decree that the couple must stay together, but the 3rd goat will be symbolically replaced by a basket of grains. Restorative justice, agroecological version. The sun rises higher and the shadows shorten. You realize the concept of justice here is deeply rooted in community values but tempered with flexibility and humor. What matters is balance and respect for agreements. Someone offers you a refreshing drink of tamarind and black mulberry. You accept, thank them, and slowly walk away from the courtyard as the sticks begin to tap the ground again. The village resumes its rhythm, and so do you. The morning has already given way to the warm heat of midday, and you head toward the outskirts of the village, where the rhythmic beating of drums signals preparations. Today, a high-profile wedding will be celebrated. The daughter of an important potter is promised to the nephew of a priest from the leopard clan. Traditionally, this requires 3 days of ceremony, 2 processions, and at least 1 offering involving some hard-to-find part of a sacred tree. You follow the bride's procession, who walks slowly beneath a red cloth held up by 4 young cousins. She cannot touch the ground until she reaches the groom's house. They say this protects the union against jealous spirits that live in puddles of water. And you've slipped on one of those puddles before, so you believe it. The journey is punctuated by stops where older women chant lightly teasing songs about the groom. Nothing offensive, just good-humored comments about his cooking skills and the time he fell out of a tree trying to impress the bride. Humor is an important part of these ceremonies. If the groom doesn't laugh, it's a bad omen. If he laughs too much, they say he's hiding debts. Upon arriving at the groom's house, one of the most awaited moments occurs: the presentation of gifts. But here, gifts is an elastic term. Besides embroidered fabrics and baskets of kola nuts, there is also a pot of honey discreetly floating with a baby tooth, a symbol of fertility. You try not to stare. Some gifts have their own rules. A type of dried fish can only be accepted if wrapped in fire tree leaves, and only if accompanied by a joke told by the groom's aunt. Otherwise, tradition considers the marriage to be in suspended mode until the joke is told. Historians still debate whether this began as a religious rule or just because the aunt really loves to tell jokes. You watch as the rituals continue. The bride drinks water from a vessel shared with the groom, symbolizing that they now share destiny, thirst, and probably mothers-in-law. The crowd applauds softly. Children throw dry petals. A very thin old man lights incense made from baobab roots and sings an ancestral melody about conjugal loyalty that no one fully understands, but everyone respects. The afternoon stretches on. You notice that no one here sees marriage as a happy ending. It's more of a continuous agreement with mystical clauses and annual reviews in the form of dances. There is a light pragmatism in the air. Marriage, after all, is as much about affinity as logistics. You settle under the shade of a cashew tree and watch the new couple be escorted inside, not without first passing 3 times under an arch made of leaves and feathers. An old man says it's to disorient spirits and gossiping uncles. Sounds reasonable. And so, between songs, laughter, and smells of burnt ginger, another union is sealed, with all the blessings, all the implications, and at least 5 metaphorical clauses that will only be explained to the couple over the years. You wake up early, this time to the muffled sound of roosters competing in volume with distant drums. It's still dawn, and the air is filled with the freshness of wet earth. Today, you will witness what may be the most oddly bureaucratic aspect of traditional marriage in the Kingdom of Benin: the registration of the union with objects. In the absence of registries like the ones you know, the officialization of marriage requires the assembly of a conjugal memory altar. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. A small collection of symbolic items chosen by the 2 families to represent the couple. It's not only poetic, it's also legally binding. If the marriage ends, each item will be evaluated by a council and divided proportionally to the responsibilities assumed. Is there a more performative divorce? You head to the house of the elders from the groom's clan, where this altar is being assembled at the moment. It's a quiet and solemn operation. A man carefully places 3 gourds, one filled with water, another with charcoal, and the third, mysteriously, with live ants. A symbol of everyday life, resilience, and inevitable annoyance. You try not to make eye contact with the ants. Then the bride's aunt appears with a small carved stool. According to tradition, if the stool creaks when someone sits, it's a sign the couple will have long conversations and lots of tea. Historians still debate whether this is a blessing or a passive-aggressive punishment. Some suggest the creaking stool was originally a warning about overly present mothers-in-law. There's also a pair of wooden spoons, hand-carved, placed side by side as a symbol of cooperation. If one spoon is more ornate than the other, that's a problem. An elder literally strikes his staff on the ground if he senses symbolic imbalance between the spoons. You've seen this staff in action before, and it never misses. And the most curious item, a small flat stone with a hole in the center, is placed on the altar. They call it the tongueless witness. Supposedly it sees everything and keeps the secret. But if it mysteriously disappears, the couple must redo the union ritual from the start. They say it has happened, and that the stone reappeared years later inside a maize gourd. You look around to see if there's any corn nearby. Finally, each family offers a string of beads which must be intertwined on the other's wrist. For 7 days, both must wear these beads while sleeping. If one loses the string, they must immediately visit the mother-in-law and explain the situation. Nobody wants that conversation. The altar is ready. Everyone watches it silently for a few minutes. Then the eldest elder walks to the altar, softly spits to the side, to ward off envy, not disrespect, and murmurs a blessing with a hoarse voice. And so, without signature, without a witness with an ID number, the marriage is registered in the objects, intentions, and collective memory. You walk away from the altar feeling that, in this world, even live ants have a clearer purpose than some dating apps. You follow the muffled sound of morning conversations and find the newlyweds sitting beneath a sprawling tree, a baobab with thick roots whose shade is almost symbolic on its own. Today is the day of public presentation. If the marriage has already been confirmed by the objects, now it needs to be recognized by the entire community. And that requires theater, literally. You settle among the villagers who begin to gather in a semicircle. In front of you, an empty space in the center of the village transforms into an improvised stage. Children jump excitedly around but are quickly silenced by an old man waving palm leaves as if shooing distractions away. The ritual is about to begin. A man and a woman, not the real couple but relatives chosen to represent them, enter the scene wearing exaggerated clothes. She carries a huge broom, he an unstable pile of clay pots. It's a humorous dramatization of married life, division of chores, conflicts, disagreements about where to store the salt. You catch yourself laughing when the husband tries to hide a dried fish under his tunic and the wife chases him with the giant broom. This enactment is traditionally called igbagon. Historians still debate whether it arose as satire or as a didactic warning. Some suggest the theater served to safely expose family tensions, a pressure valve before conflicts became real. Others think it's just comedy, and frankly, the audience's laughter seems to confirm that. Soon after, two young people dressed in red cloaks with feathers tied in their hair enter. They act out external challenges that may affect the couple: envy, poverty, opinionated in-laws. One holds a cracked coconut symbolizing gossip. The other tries to mend it with leaves, clearly unsuccessfully. It's a touching and subtle moment, despite the talking coconut. At the end of the play, everyone applauds, or rather claps rhythmically with the backs of their hands. This, they say, doesn't scare away good spirits with noise. You join in and even feel part of the tradition. But the highlight is yet to come, the question to the audience. An elder stands up and with a firm voice asks if there is any valid reason the marriage should not be accepted by the community. A respectful silence falls over everyone. This moment is real, and as performative as it seems, it carries considerable weight. Sometimes someone raises their hand. It might be a neighbor with an old complaint, "He never returned my chicken." Or a resentful ex, "He promised me a fish and never delivered." Usually these conflicts are resolved right there with some conversation, and maybe a fish as compensation. But today, no one says anything. The silence is a vote of confidence. With the ritual complete, the real couple stands, holds hands, without exaggeration. The touch must be firm but not passionate, and thanks with a slight nod. Only then are they officially considered husband and wife in the eyes of the community. You stand up, dusting off your clothes, and realize that in the Kingdom of Benin, even a comedy about a fish hidden under a tunic can be legal proof. And maybe our modern certificate systems could learn something from a few more giant brooms. Now that the couple has been publicly accepted, you walk with them to the next stage, the confirmation banquet. And brace yourself. You're going to hear the word yam more times than you'd like. In the Kingdom of Benin, no wedding is complete without an abundance of yams prepared in every imaginable way, and some that might defy culinary logic. The banquet area is set up near a field, under a canopy made of banana leaves and woven sticks. Large pots steam over low fires. Women stir the contents with long spoons, chanting soft songs alternating between Yoruba and a local dialect. The smell is earthy, warm, and slightly spicy, as if the soil itself decided to join the celebration. You sit on a low hand-carved bench. In front of you, a gourd with fermented corn drink is passed from hand to hand. It's called otambo, and has the faint taste of warm bread forgotten too long in the sun. It's not exactly delicious, but it's tradition, so you take a sip with a diplomatic smile. The first dish to arrive is iyan, mashed yam whipped until it becomes an elastic dough white as wet cotton. Beside it is a thick sauce with pieces of game meat and bitter leaves. You try to balance the wooden spoon while watching the curious ritual. The groom serves the first portion to his mother-in-law. The symbolism is simple. Food is trust. If she accepts, it confirms she approves the union. She accepts. Later, a group of young people begin playing drums of different sizes, and dancers appear with geometric face paint and ankles adorned with dry seeds that rattle with every step. They don't dance to entertain but to invoke. Their movements are dedicated to the couple's ancestors, asking for blessings and marital stability. One of the dancers carries a basket with, guess what? Yams. But this time, miniature ones, carved from wood and painted white. He distributes them to the children as good luck charms. The superstition says that if one of these symbolic yams is kept in the newly inhabited house, The couple will have abundance and fertility, or at least many unexpected visitors. Historians still debate whether the exaggerated focus on yams is agricultural or mystical. Some argue the tuber symbolizes resilience, for surviving long dry periods and still sprouting strong. Others defend that, since it was an item used in tributes to the Oba, king, it gained social prestige, the noble food of noble weddings. You watch the groom dancing with a clay plate on his head, balancing a pile of, yes, more yams. Everyone applauds when he spins 3 times without dropping anything. The bride smiles, a bit shy, but you notice the playful sparkle in her eyes. After all, marriage is also this, knowing how to laugh at a strangely specific tradition with deep roots. As the sun begins to set, someone appears with a straw mat, signaling it's time for the ritual rest. A symbolic pause between the food and the evening rites. You lie down, still chewing slowly, and think, when in doubt, bring more yams. It always works. Now you enter the most introspective moment of the ceremony, the exchange of silent vows, which in the Kingdom of Benin are not words but gestures full of meaning. You realize that despite all the joyful noise and vibrant colors, this is the point where the couple truly connects, and where you, even as an outsider, feel the weight of their commitment. The place is a small circle of stones, covered with soft moss and some wildflowers carefully placed there by someone. The couple sits facing each other, their hands lightly joined. There is no need for words. Ancient traditions teach that silence can say more than any spoken promise. You watch as the groom takes from his pocket a small rustic cloth bag, inside which is a handful of palm seeds. He carefully places them in the bride's hand, who smiles with a gentle sparkle in her eyes. These seeds symbolize fertility and prosperity, and the act of giving them is, in fact, an unwritten vow. Next, the bride offers the groom a small hand-woven blue cloth strip, representing the protection and patience needed to keep the marriage alive through challenges. He ties the strip around his arm, and you notice a slight trembling in his hand, a detail revealing the full humanity of the moment. As you watch, an elder begins to chant a low, drawn-out song, something reminiscent of the rhythm of a heartbeat itself. It's a melody that soothes the soul, an invitation to calm and reflection. You feel the weight of history in that sound, and the softness with which the music seems to envelop everything around you. Historians still debate whether these silent gestures are remnants of pagan rituals seeking a more spiritual communication, or if they were created to reinforce the idea that true love transcends words. Perhaps it's a bit of both, and maybe that's what makes this ceremony so special. As the music continues, the couple slowly rises and walks in a circle through the field, each step firm and deliberate. You can almost feel the weight of the generations that came before them, each adding their own touch to this tradition now unfolding before your eyes. You wonder if, in such a noisy world, it wouldn't do us all some good to learn a little from these shared moments of silence, where words aren't necessary, and a gesture says everything. After the silent vows and the sacred circle, you follow the couple to the next phase, known as the Tree of Union ritual. Here, nature is not just a backdrop but an active part of the ceremony. You realize that everything in the Kingdom of Benin is deeply symbolic, and even the flora plays a special role. The couple walks to an ancient baobab tree, a colossal tree whose branches extend like protective arms. The thick bark is marked with scars from past rituals, and the air around carries an earthy fragrance mixed with dry leaves. You can almost feel the power of the tree, as if it were a living witness to the stories of hundreds of marriages before this one. The groom holds a rope made of natural fibers, carefully braided by the elders. He wraps it around the baobab's trunk while the bride holds the other end, their fingers intertwined. Together they make 3 complete turns around the base of the tree. Tradition says this binds the couple's roots, just like those of the baobab, making their union grow strong and resilient. As you watch, some people begin to softly sing a melody that mimics the sound of the wind passing through the leaves. You feel the calm and steady rhythm, almost hypnotic, that seems to synchronize with your heartbeat. In a corner, a child holds a small pot with white powder made from ground tree bark, the blessing of the earth. She approaches the couple and, with slow movements, sprinkles the powder over their intertwined hands. The gesture symbolizes protection and fertility, a kind of natural talisman against life's hardships. A curious detail is that some couples choose to replace the baobab with other local trees, depending on the region of the Kingdom of Benin. Historically, the choice of tree has sparked debates among anthropologists. Is it just a geographical matter, or are there subtle differences in the rituals associated with each species? You notice that the couple seems to absorb all this energy from the nature around them. The calmness of the ceremony and the weight of the symbols make it hard not to feel a little more connected to the world, or at least to this very special part of it. As the ritual ends, the first stars begin to appear in the sky. The moonlight mixes with the torches lit by those present, creating an atmosphere of mystery and peace. You take a deep breath and think, perhaps this is the part of the ceremony where time truly slows down, and the union gains its invisible strength. You now accompany the couple in the transition to the ritual of the Bath of Renewal, an essential part of the wedding ceremony in the Kingdom of Benin that blends tradition, symbolism, and a touch of natural humor. After all, no one wants to start a new life smelling like mold or fish, right? The location is a tranquil stream winding along the village's edge. The water is fresh, but not cold, with a soft shine caused by the reflection of leaves dancing on the surface. You hear the relaxing sound of the current, almost like a gentle melody played by nature. The kind of sound that, let's be honest, would make any ASMR playlist seem amateurish. Before the bath, an elder carefully places some leaves of a local plant into the water, known for its purifying properties and said to bring luck to the couple. Meanwhile, you notice the reactions of the people around. Some exchange discreet glances as if wondering, is the water too cold for the bride and groom? A light-hearted moment amid the solemn ritual. The couple steps slowly into the stream, each step creating small ripples on the calm surface. They wet each other with slow and careful gestures while the guests watch in respectful silence. There is something deeply relaxing about the way the water touches the skin, a sensation that seems to wash not only the body, but also the worries of the past. Here, historians still debate whether this ritual originates from spiritual purification ceremonies of ancient peoples from the region, or if it evolved as a metaphor for starting fresh. Something that makes sense if you've ever tried rebooting a frozen computer, but applied to an entire life. You notice that despite the initial chill of the water, there is a shared smile between the couple that reveals the comfort of being together, a reminder that marriage is, above all, partnership and mutual support, even in the most unexpected moments. As they leave the stream, a group begins to softly sing an ancient melody that resembles the sound of rain on a straw roof. The couple dries themselves with soft cloths dyed with natural pigments, while a gentle breeze carries the scent of wet earth. You take a deep breath and think about how these small details create an atmosphere mixing tradition, nature, and a much-needed touch of lightness. At the end of the ritual bath, you realize that marriage in the Kingdom of Benin is not just a union between two people, but a true meeting of elements, earth, water, air, and fire, intertwined to create a new life. Now the couple prepares for perhaps the most awaited moment, the traditional banquet, a celebration that blends flavors, stories, and smiles, seemingly crafted to soothe the soul. You find yourself in a clearing surrounded by tall trees and carpets of dry leaves, where long rustic wooden tables have been carefully set. The soft light of torches flickers, casting dancing shadows that seem to whisper ancient secrets. The air is filled with a comforting mix of spices, fresh fruit, and freshly baked bread, a combination that could easily make anyone forget the outside world. As the couple sits down, you notice each dish has its own story. The main course is a stew made with local ingredients, seasoned with herbs believed to bring luck and longevity. You imagine the work it took to harvest each leaf and slowly cook this delicacy, an almost meditative act aligned with the ceremony's tranquil rhythm thus far. While everyone serves themselves, a storyteller begins narrating ancient legends about couples who overcame challenges, faced storms, and still found peace and joy. You listen, almost hypnotized, as he describes a story about a young wife who once calmed a storm solely with the strength of her love and patience, a perfect metaphor for the marriage journey. Interestingly, there is a custom of giving each guest a small seed to plant at home, a symbol of family growth and the continuity of tradition. You watch the calloused hands of farmers mix these seeds with the soil, a small action carrying great meaning. At this point, some scholars raise the question, how relevant do these traditions remain in modern times? They debate whether the marriage ritual in the Kingdom of Benin reflects cultural adaptation or a conscious resistance to change. You, for your part, think perhaps the value lies precisely in balancing, preserving the past and embracing the future, like that gentle breeze passing through the clearing without disturbing its serenity. As the banquet continues, you notice the magic in the little details, the clinking of polished wooden cups, the restrained laughter of children playing near the fire, the distant sound of drums slowly marking the pace for the next dance. All these create a subtle soundtrack, perfect for relaxing and allowing body and mind to slow down. Speaking of dance, soon arrives the time for the final ritual, a circular dance involving everyone present. You imagine yourself stepping into the circle, feeling the connection with the faces around you, sharing the same serene and welcoming energy. The music is slow, almost hypnotic, and each step seems synchronized with your own breathing. You notice how the rhythm of this dance contrasts with modern wedding celebrations, often rushed and noisy. Here, time slows down, inviting everyone simply to be present, to celebrate not only the couple, but the moment, the space, and the community. As bodies move in harmony, the torchlight casts a golden glow on the surrounding leaves, and you feel a deep calm invading every part of your being. It's as if the whole world stopped for a few moments so that this union, this dance, and this story could be fully felt. When the music finally slows and the circle closes, you realize there is no rush to end. People continue talking in low tones, sharing stories, smiling, and keeping alive the flame of this unique tradition. You slowly step away from the party, the sound of music and whispers fading behind you, and feel a comforting sensation of having witnessed something genuine and rare. Deep down, you know that the peculiar marriage laws in the Kingdom of Benin are much more than rules. They are bridges connecting generations, uniting past and present in a tranquil and eternal dance.